Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and today I'm going to become the Batman. Actually, I'm going to be bringing you guys my first impressions for Batman, the Arkham Knight. We're going to be playing today on the Xbox One. This, of course, is the third Batman game in Rocksteady's franchise, and it is set to be their final, from what I've heard. I really don't know if they could do anything else with the franchise. This looks to be they're closing out. Who knows? Maybe they'll go work on something else. Whatever. But as I said, we're playing on the Xbox One. The game's running at 30 FPS, and many of you may have heard about the awful console port, the awful PC port from the consoles. If you're interested in hearing my thoughts on that, stick around at the end of the video. We're going to talk about that. I definitely have a lot I want to say about it, and a lot of theories on why that happened and how it could have been avoided. But let's play the Arkham Knight, because you know what? This is an amazing Batman game. If you love Batman, you will love the Arkham Knight. It's 10 times better than Warner Brothers' garbage Origins, and it feels like a true successor to Arkham City. Are there a lot of things that I wish they would have done? Yes. But in my opinion, it's something I do too often when I do reviews and first impressions. I think about what they could have done. Let's talk about what's here, how it performs, and there'll still be a little bit about me wishing what they could have done. But first and foremost, I'm at the top of a decently high point. I probably could have went to Wayne Tower if I wasn't so lazy and flew over that way. But one of the first things that you notice when you step into Gotham, number one, is actually how well this game teaches you how to play. For someone who knew just about everything about the Batman games, I wasn't really ready for a tutorial, and I'm very happy that Rocksteady didn't give me one. They kind of ease you into all of the different components of the game gradually, and it feels awesome. Not to mention, the first time the Batmobile appears, it's kind of just like, hell yeah! I am the Batman! Like, it's that good. And this game, I would have to say, has a lot of moments where you basically say to yourself, I am the Batman! Like, no joke. That's kind of what Arkham Knight is all about, making you feel like the Batman. But this is probably the best rendition of Gotham that I've ever seen. I am just a huge fan of what they've done with this. I loved the atmosphere. I love the sort of styling they went with everything, the sort of neon glow. It feels very much like a combination of Nolan and Burton, I guess would be the best way to put it. I dig that. And those elements kind of, they're seen everywhere. Not just in the world design, but in the way the characters are represented, the way the villains like Two-Face and the Penguin are represented, and I'm all over that. This is a stunning looking game. I could see why, with the amount of development time that Rocksteady probably had and newer tech, and possibly just the fact that the consoles aren't powerful enough, why this isn't running at 60 FPS. It is a complaint. I do wish that this game wasn't 60 FPS because the combat and the driving probably would have been much more enjoyable. But regardless, the game is stunning. I mean, the detail on Batman's armor, the rain on his cape when you fly through the air. I mean, just check it, yo. Like, it's good. It's good, and I'm all about it. That being said, that sort of Tim Burton vibe that I talked about makes me wish that the game was more strange. I would say that the story at certain points does start to become a little supernatural, for lack of a better word, but it doesn't ever go full-blown like, you know, other side of the fence Batman. It kind of still is very grounded in the Batman that many people who don't read the comics have come to know and love, and that's okay. But let's play the game, right? Because, I mean, that's what it's all about. This is, after all, an open world game. We have this wonderful recreation of Gotham. So what can we do? Let's go ahead and open up our mission wheel and take a look at all of the wonderful missions that we have. Now, they've actually done a really good job in theming the missions. I'd have to say that this Batman, they haven't done one of the things that I was worried they were going to do after Arkham City, which is just throw in a ton of side activities. That is sort of the theme with a lot of open world games. They just say, how many side activities can we do? Look at Watch Dogs, you know, look at games like that. And I never thought that Batman was that sort of an open world game. I thought it was open world for the sake of grandeur, you know? We're still really, all we really care about at the end of the day is the story. That's really what I want to play. The side stuff is kind of just, it allows me to be Batman a little bit more, and I'm okay with that. So they've done a good job, I think, on focusing and maintaining how these side missions are handled. And at the core of that is a set of missions focused on the different enemies that have come to Gotham. Gotham's been evacuated, and all of the good old baddies from Batman's past are here. You've got Two-Face and his band of bandits robbing banks all over the place. You've got Firefly setting fire stations on fire because he's a whack job. I can't wait to shove that guy's flamethrower down his throat. Silly Batman would never do that. We, of course, have the Riddler, who now has 243 riddles, all which are tied to the rescue of Catwoman, interestingly enough. I thought that was a really cool element. Kind of almost makes you want to do his riddles. And then a part of remembers, fuck the Riddler. In a very spastic way. Fuck the Riddler. And then we also have the Gunrunner missions, which are good old Cobblepot. Hunting down and taking care of good old Cobblepot and all of the weapons that he's bringing in to Gotham. Interestingly enough, you actually get to do this alongside with Nightwing, so that's really cool. And you notice that right now it has a cancel, or basically a stop icon over. That's because I just did this mission recently. So missions do need a little bit of time to refresh, whether it be intel that needs to be gathered by, you know, Batman or reported by the news or by the GCDP. There are time limits between how often you can do each of these missions. But there's a nice variety here. We can eliminate bombs that the Arkham Knight is putting throughout the city. We can disable watchtowers. Like I said, we can do the Riddler. There's a murder mystery. There's a serial killer on the loose that you can actually be. It's a very detective mission, you know? There's not a lot of moments in this game thus far where you get to be detective Batman, you know, like classic Detective Comics Batman, and pull out all your gadgets and be like, analyze the skin and the bone. But this is one of them. So if you like that element of Batman, you have that there for you. One of my favorite things is actually Azrael. I don't want to say too much about it, but he's here, and you actually get to switch to him and engage in combat missions. And I can imagine from that name, you can get some sort of idea as to why he exists. And then we have a set of missions that are more focused on the Batmobile. Armed and Dangerous is one of them. Campaign for Disarmament is actually focused on the Batmobile. And then we've just got a couple other side things. So there's a lot to do. I mean, there's a lot here. No doubt about that. Let's actually go ahead and we'll do something that showcases the Batmobile because... Half. Okay, so they're that way, and they're actually... It looks like they're coming this direction, so that's cool. Of course, Alfred. We got Alfred. There's a lot of just great characters in this game. I think that's really what brings it all together, is there's just... It's like they found the recipe, you know? It's the perfect dose of everything. You've got just the right amount of atmosphere and of weirdness, just the right amount of, like, Batman serious badassery, just the right amount of gadgets and villains and heroes. It all sort of comes together, and it just feels very well comprised. Just makes it a really cool place to be, but let's give these guys a bit of surprise, shall we? Peekaboo. Oh. Oh, alright. Well, not as graceful. Not as graceful as it could have been, but let's go ahead and, let's talk about the Batmobile, right? Because this is actually a really big part of Arkham Knight. Possibly a little bit too big. You actually spend a lot of time in the Batmobile in the early game. But it's sort of kind of, I don't know. It's really well implemented, you know, I can't really complain. The side missions are the side missions, that's whatever. But when you're actually engaging in the story, you do often use the Batmobile. But a lot of the times, it's in a cooperative method. Something that I feel is just very Batman. Like, it makes sense. Like, the Batmobile is a tool in Batman's arsenal. It's not just a transportation vehicle. It's something he uses to solve puzzles and crimes. And that is very much relevant inside of Arkham Knight. I really like the way they've done that. This one's got missile turrets on the back of it now. They're amping up their security, man. Keep wiping out all their friends. They're getting scared. Can you imagine if Batman talked like that? Gordon calls him up. Batman, we've got another APC on the loose. Don't worry about it, Gordon. I got them real scared. I'll come take care of them in the Batmobile. I crack myself up sometimes. Alright. Another vehicle down. Let's hunt this thing down. So, driving in the Batmobile, as a lot of people will notice, isn't fantastic. I wish they would have just made it, like, more sticky. It's very slidey, and it's actually kind of difficult to drive. I still think the control scheme is weird as hell, too, because of the ability to transform into a tank. Once you kind of get a hang of it, there'll be some moments where it all kind of flows and you're like, yeah, I am Batman. I don't crash into things. Like, I know exactly where I'm going. And then as soon as you get into a tight, like, tiny road area of Gotham, you'll be like, oh, crap, I can't drive this thing.
The militia just lost another lieutenant from their right. Excellent.
But as I said, the Batmobile can assist you in a lot of ways, and let me see if I can demonstrate probably one of the coolest ways that it assists you. Hey thugs, come here. Oh! Right in the side of the face. I'm all about that. So as I said, the Batmobile will assist you in the story. It'll help you solve puzzles and navigate the environments often, maybe breaching walls, things of that nature. But it also assists you out on the streets in combat, not just when you're battling some of the Arkham Knight's tanks, which you can then use this to actually deploy actual hardcore, like, real bullets, rounds. I guess we can kind of showcase that. It's odd. It feels really weird, right? It's the most un-Batman thing you can do is drive around a tank that fires 62mm cannon shells.
The militia won't hold this city hostage.
Okay, so I actually have to find these. So we're not going to mess with that right now. But yeah, I mean, you drive a tank around and you shoot drones. So you're not actually killing people, but to be firing any sort of hard ammunition out of anything that's related to Batman just seems bonkers to me. Especially if you're somebody who's seen a lot of the smaller animes and short films. Batman hates firearms. He doesn't like seeing people die. It's not in his repertoire, so it's a bit odd, but let's go be Detective Batman for a little bit. I think a lot of people will appreciate this, and I'm a huge fan of it. Alright, so... Oh, there it is. Alrighty, looks like we've got another murder.
Alfred, we can add a third victim to the list.
This is becoming rather ghastly, sir. It brings to mind a spate of murders at the beginning of your career. It was Halloween then, if I'm not mistaken. Turned out to be rather a long one, if I recall.
So the interesting thing about this string of murders right now that we've discovered thus far is that these bodies are actually coming from different places, and we've already got something we can scan here. So let's see. It looks like something on their lungs.
An irregularity on the victim's chest. It appears to be a birthmark, quite distinctive.
Let's go ahead and scan their muscle tissue, see if we can't find something that separates them from the rest of humanity. What's that?
There's a bullet lodged deep
Ooh.
in the bicep. This type of ammunition is predominantly used with a hunting rifle that hasn't been manufactured in over a decade.
Okay. Ooh. Some broken toes?
The left foot is missing several toes.
Okay, he's missing toes.
Documentation suggests the removal of non-viable tissue in the treatment of frostbite.
Alfred, I've ID'd the victim as Robert Kincaid.
He was a microbiologist who worked for Stag Enterprises. Many believe the shooting was connected to Kincaid's knowledge of controversial research, although that remains unverified. He took a teaching post in Atlanta, which is where he was reported missing.
That's 3 victims, all of them abducted in various places around the country. Keep looking for a connection, Alfred.
Right you are, sir.
The writing by the bodies suggests the killer has a higher purpose. It's as if these weren't good enough for what he has in mind.
Do you think there are other victims?
Yes, and I don't know what he has planned for them.
So that's about as deep as it gets for the detective aspect of being Batman. Kind of disappoints me. Like, I wanted more of that stuff. I liked what was in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and I felt like they've kind of dwindled on that over the years. Like, it's actually gotten less and less a part of the games, but, you know, I guess whatever. You know, that's their decision for it. I won't talk about what's not there, but I really would have loved to see more of that. I love that sort of side of Batman. It makes me really, you know, kind of... Anyways, moving on. Let's actually go ahead and see if we can't get into a little bit of trouble here. And by trouble, I mean, of course, let's go eliminate some bad guys. Because I do want to kind of highlight the combat for you guys. There's been a few things that have changed within the combat system. I mean, it's still the combat that you know and recognize from past Batman games. Like, it hasn't really... Let's go up to the checkpoint.
Militia fortification has been established.
It hasn't really been, like, overhauled or altered. There's just new additions to it that, once again, allow the player to play as they want. You know, you can be the Batman that you want to be. So we've got all of our different skill trees here. And, of course, we got Wayne Tech upgrade points that we can earn just by leveling up, playing through the story. You can also do a lot of the VR training missions. Those are actually a separate thing. The challenge mode, basically, that's available in the past games is still here. That earns you Wayne Tech points. So if you want to just go hunt Wayne Tech points all day long, you can pretty much become, like, the ultimate version of Batman. Which does bring me to kind of want to discuss a little bit, before we go into detail on some of these skill trees, is the difficulty of the game. If you pick this up and you are like a Batman veteran, you played Arkham City, you played Arkham Knight, you played Asylum, you played Origins even, and you were good at the combat, play this game on hard. Do yourself that favor. Because I'm playing on normal, I thought maybe it was going to be a little bit more challenging. I felt Arkham City was much more challenging than this on normal. The game just, it tends to be fairly easy. There's not a lot of challenge in the combat. Instead, the focus is on performing and engaging in combat how you want. And that's where we get into these skill trees. So you can go like all gadget crazy. You could literally take down an entire room full of enemies just using your gadgets if you wanted to. You can beef up your bat suit so you can just be, you know, the ultimate brawler and focus entirely on that. Speaking of which, I'm going to spend some points on the shockwave ability. You can increase your combat effectiveness. You know, the way that you go up against, you know, combat. The way you go up against combatants with guns, or the way that you engage them when flying onto a rooftop. I mean, it's all, once again, about building the Batman that you want to play. And I'm all about that. You can even upgrade your Batmobile. You can alter its weapons. Lucius Fox will also come to you from time to time. A lot of the gadgets that I have in the game right now were given to me by him. Things like the Disruptor. He'll upgrade the Batmobile. He'll give you the choice between 2 upgrades. Basically, throughout the course of the game, he'll call you up and say, hey, the next upgrade's ready to go in the Batmobile. It's cool. Like, I love having Lucius Fox call me up, be like, what do you want in the Batmobile next? Like, do you want to be able to fly? You can't actually do that, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, that's cool. I'm all about that. So, gadgets are here. Gadgets are definitely a big part of being Batman, and they are here tenfold. So that's cool. But let's go ahead and get in a little bit of combat, shall we? Oh, just look at the moisture on the back of his back cape. It's so good, man. It really is. Hello. So, sadly, we failed to actually scan the area and recognize the fact that there was actually a turret there that started to light us up. So let's reassess that situation. The turret is actually on the wall, I think. We are gonna die. And we died. At first I was like, maybe it's not gonna engage me. Didn't I just get done saying the combat was easy? Alright. No one cares, Arkham Knight. You don't even actually fly. You have a helicopter. You're not cool. Okay, so basically I'm gonna black out all of these loading screens because they are loaded with spoilers. So if you don't see anything on your screen, the video is still playing. I just don't want to ruin the game for you. Holy crap. This is like the hardest game I've ever done a first impression of. I'm like constantly looking away. You guys hopefully didn't notice a certain character appearing like 3 feet to the left of me at one point. I kind of just like looked the other direction and ran away really quickly. But yeah, let's retry this. Let's make this combat thing happen. Let's do this. Let's reassess the situation here.
Batman's not finding the cloudburst. No
was gonna say, we don't actually need to engage these guys. This is what we need to do. This is kind of a separate area here. So let's deal with these fools first. Let's use our brand new dive bomb ability, detonate that shockwave, and mess some fools up. Hello. Boom. See, now if I had my combo meter charged, I could have went into my aerial Batwing takedown and just instantly knocked out all of these guys. It would have been sick. Oh, he's got a knife, does he? Oh. There's a lot of small nuances to the combat, which is cool. There we go. Actually got 2 of them. That's not bad. Like your ability to actually decide what direction you want to throw somebody when you counter. You can actually throw them, you know, into other people, which is a nice feature. This guy is just a big old toughie. There we go. Take care of him, bats. Alright. Now we just gotta find the guy with the...
I should locate the commander and shut this checkpoint down.
Come on. Come on. Come on, Batman. There we go. So, a lot of these checkpoints and, like, the watchtower things, they feel very much like the towers in the Assassin's Creed game. You're kind of clearing out different areas of the island, slowly breaking down the threat level, making them just safer places to be. I mean, that's really it. You know, I don't know how much that's going to directly affect the outcome of the game at the end or what that's going to do, but... Shh! Don't be so loud when I'm choking you out, bro. So there's that damn turret. I don't think I can hack it. Let's give it a try. No, I need to just detonate that and that would take out the turrets, but that's not gonna happen. Well, there's all these guys around while those turrets are up, so I guess we'll just abandon this situation for now. I probably could spend some more time looking around and seeing what's going on here. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I wonder. I don't think the disruptor works on stuff like that, sadly. I can sabotage their ammo. Take out that guy's gun. Oh, what was that? I mean, did I stun your gun? I'm sorry. Vámonos, amigos. So let's just harass them and leave. Just instill a little fear into their hearts. So there are actually a lot of small missions. They're basically just more of the missions that you find in your mission wheel already. So like the Occupy Gotham stuff, you know, you'll kind of open up more areas to take down just by flying around the city and you know, flying over these areas. Like I've discovered another one right here. So you can see this one's got a couple turrets located as well. So there's a lot of these locations in the city that you'll find just by exploring, going about. They'll be added to your catalog of missions for that set of missions. And you can kind of just click on it, activate it. It'll show you the closest one. Once you eliminate that one, you can move on, so on and so forth. Not all of them have to be obtained just over time. A lot of them can actually be discovered by you personally. Things like the firefighters, that's the set of missions that I have. I've just accidentally stumbled across them, so you can kind of just go out and do whatever you want, and you'll eventually fall into place on a lot of these things. That's really the meat of the game. You know, I really don't want to do any of the story, but we can definitely talk about the story. I feel that that's important. We're gonna ignore that guy right there. Hopefully you didn't see that. You didn't see anything. There wasn't a man standing on the edge of that ledge. You didn't see anything at all. I really don't want to ruin that part of the story for anyone who might pick up the game. And I guess that's kind of, you know, it's a good time to kind of give you guys my final thoughts. We'll talk a little bit about the story here and kind of start to close things out. So what this game does really well is it highlights all the things that we love about Batman. The gadgets, the Batmobile, of course. There's a lot of really great set pieces like Wayne Tower that have like just cool, you know, Batcave style hidden areas. I think the only way they could have topped all of that was to actually let us drive the Batmobile into the Batcave, or let us drive the Batwing, which does actually appear in the game. But they've done a good job in focusing on what makes Batman fun. You know, what do we love about Batman? How can we let the player experience that? That's very much all here in Arkham Knight. And thus far, the story has been really great. There's a lot of tense moments. There's a lot of unknowns, I think. And they've done a really cool job in sort of focusing on this psychological side of Batman, his mental struggles. Not the type of struggles that you think. I really don't want to talk about that because I do feel that that could ruin a bit of the story for those of you who are going to play. But it's not the sort of same boring generic like, oh, my mommy and daddy died. Like, it's an entirely different mental issue that Batman has going on up in his head now, and it makes you second guess a lot of the things that are presented to you inside of Arkham Knight, and I love that. I love that sense of mystery and wonder, and as I said, there is a very supernatural element to this game. It makes me wish that they went even further with that, because I love the idea of, like, weird Batman. Like, Gotham by Gaslight and, you know, Batman Year 100. I love that kind of stuff. What is this bird? Anyways, I like freaky, weird Batman stuff like that, so I would have liked to see them go a little bit farther on that, but overall, if you love Batman, if you really enjoyed Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and you want just more Batman in your life, you really, in my opinion, you can't go wrong with Arkham Knight. I'm loving the characters, and I can't get enough of this game. And I'm actually happy that it's not another open world Titan with like 400 or 500 hours of gameplay, because The Witcher, I still haven't even finished that game. I love it to death, but it's just so long, you know? Sometimes I just want a game to tell me a story, to let me become a certain character, and to do a really good time, to let me have a really good time while I'm doing it. And that is very much Arkham Knight. So that's my thoughts on it. But we're not done yet. There is one last thing we need to talk about. I'm gonna fly around the city. That is the PC port, of course, which, as many of you have heard, is locked to 30 FPS. Apart from that, a lot of people haven't really been having a lot of issues. Performance issues on AMD, I've been hearing. A lot of people saying, like, if you have AMD, you're pretty much screwed. GeForce's, you know, NVIDIA stuff's been alright. Here's the issue that a lot of people don't recognize with ports. Am I making excuses for Rocksteady? No, but I think they're actually a very good developer. What the hell? What the... Okay, I'm gonna ignore that really cool mission that I just stumbled into. So weird. That's what I'm talking about, the supernatural stuff. The PC port. Again, not defending Rocksteady, but here's the issue. If you're gonna make a port as a developer who also has to develop a game for two other platforms that are very different, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, the right thing would have been for Warner Brothers to take some of that fat wad of cash that they have, we know they have it, and pay another studio to do the PC port. Titanfall did this with their Xbox 360 version. It allowed that game to be fantastic. It was a wonderful release. It was a wonderful last-gen port for a game that was being developed on next-gen. The same could have been done for this port of Arkham Knight on PC. I mean, and then you wouldn't have ridiculous things like the inability to turn off motion blur and post-processing and a capped frame rate of 30 FPS. Like, all that stuff is silly, and to me it just shows time constraint. It could just be laziness, but to me it shows time constraint and budget constraint. And frankly, Warner Brothers has become such a toxic publisher that I hope Rocksteady breaks away from them with whatever contract they have and never works for them again. So, I mean, sorry for those of you guys who bought the game on PC. I hope you're running it. It definitely sucks if you're having a lot of these issues. I would say that if you own a console and you're kind of deciding, you know, to play it on your Xbox One or your PS4 or your PC, obviously go with the console. It's just going to be the much better decision here. And that's really all I have to say about it. There's tons of people out there. I'm sure Total Biscuit's going to be doing a port report. There's a lot of people covering all those different issues. You know, search on YouTube if you want to know more about the PC version and whether or not Rocksteady's going to do anything to sort of solve a lot of those issues. Meanwhile, I'm going to keep playing on Xbox One, enjoy my time in the Batmobile, and enjoy my time becoming the Bat. If you have any questions for me regarding what I said in the video or Arkham Knight, let me know down in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.